Hey guys, welcome back to LCW Productions. I'm here today with a brand new video, and in today's video we're going to be ranking the top 25 LEGO licensed themes. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so just a quick little disclaimer. This is my personal opinion and I'm actually basing this off how I believe it's impacted the LEGO community and how I think the quality of the sets are. With that being said, let's get into number 25. Alright guys, number 25 we have LEGO Minions. Now, although I do love the Minions movie, I do think the LEGO theme is quite lacking in a lot of quality. And I do think that it's just mainly for kids. I haven't really seen any adult collectors getting any of these sets at all. I do like the Minion Layers set and the Brickheads that came out, but other than that, it really is a lackluster theme, and I do believe that is why I've placed it at number 25. Okay guys, and at number 24, we have Ben 10. Now, as a kid, I really loved this show, and I loved watching it, but I gotta be honest, the LEGO sets are more like a knockoff of Bionicle, and it doesn't even feel like a real LEGO product. Although the sets do look cool, I wish we would have gone like actual LEGO building sets, not really like another Hero Factory or Bionicle. So that being said, that's why it's number 24. Okay guys, and at number 23 we have The Prince of Persia. Now, I do believe that this is not really the best movie, but I do think the sets from this movie are actually pretty good. We got some good minifigures, and it felt like another Indiana Jones theme with the style of the build of the sets. I know there was that big battle set, I think it was like the Alamut or something like that. That set is really well made, and I know there's another set that has like a camel minifigure in it, or I should say a brick like build, I guess. So I think that's mainly why I put it at number 23. I think it's a great line of sets, but overall I don't think it had a big impact on the LEGO community. I think the quality of the set was pretty good though. Okay, and at number 22 we have Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, me personally, I think this is the most overhyped and like just not really that good of a line of sets. The reason I put it in number 22 is because I firmly believe that a lot of people do love it, and I almost didn't consider putting it on this list because it was never like fully released. It was more of a test run when it did come out. But that being said, the LEGO Ideas model that was rumored to be coming out for is pretty nice. I do like that, but the sets that came out before, they're just extremely outdated and they just don't really look that good to me. But I do recognize the impact that it had on the fans to that show. So with that being said, that's why I put it at number 22. Alright guys, and at number 21 we have Overwatch. Now, I've only played Overwatch a few times, and it's genuinely a fun experience to have. Now, with that being said, the LEGO is pretty cool as well. I will say that these sets never sold well, and that's why it's lower on the list. That's why I've taken into consideration the impact in the community, I think is fairly low. But I think quality of these sets is quite significant though. These sets are really underrated, and if you ever had the chance to get one, they were pretty good for what they were. I know the mech and that little spaceship looking set, they were pretty popular. But overall, these sets have graduated in price pretty much, and fans of the game really enjoyed them, but I don't think we would ever get any more of these sets for the reason that they really just didn't sell that well. So that being said, that's why I've placed it at number 21. Alright guys, now to the top 20. So in number 20, I've actually picked Cars. So Cars is actually a different licensed theme than from the Disney. So Cars I placed at number 20. I actually really like these sets. I think the oil thing in the middle of the ocean, that set was really good. The buildable Tow Mater, the Lightning McQueen, specifically also mentioning the little gas station. I think those sets are absolutely phenomenal, and I think it does recognize to be in number 20. Although I do not believe that it's better than some of the other themes in front of it, I do think that it's a theme that is way overhated, and I do think that it had a great impact on the community because of the way that kids obviously really love those sets. Because I remember when I was a kid, my brother and I, we'd go buy those sets, and we would be so happy because Cars was one of our favorite Pixar movies. So that's why I placed it at number 20. Alright guys, and at number 19 we have The Lone Ranger. So I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys, I actually enjoyed the movie, and I think the sets that came out with it are exactly what a lot of Western fans have been waiting for. Now, with that being said, I think the set quality is extremely good, especially the train, and I think it's the bank robbery set are particularly amazing sets and are extremely underrated. But I'm putting it at 19 because it's only a one-line wave, to my knowledge. I'm pretty sure they didn't release a second wave, but it was a great movie to me. It's definitely overhated in my opinion. I encourage you guys to go watch it again, but I would just go ahead and mention that it did not really impact the community at all because the movie did not get that great of reviews and did not do that well. That being said, it did impact the set selling as well, so that's why I've placed it at number 19, and I feel like that's a very fair ranking. At number 18, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, my brother and I, when we were little, we got almost every single one of these sets, and I have to be honest, I really liked them. They were really great sets. They had lines from the cartoon series and also the live action movie that came out. Although I was not a particular fan of the live action movie, the Ninja Turtle layer set was absolutely a childhood favorite of both of ours. I do believe that set is really good and it was a lot of fun to play with. Alongside, you had a bunch of sets from the cartoon that were out at the time, and those were phenomenal sets. These sets now are actually worth a pretty good amount from my knowledge, and I think it's a super underrated theme. It's got to be your kind of cup of tea though. Impact on the community wise, I don't think it was really that high, but I think if you're looking at nostalgia for like me, and I think a lot of other kids can say the exact same, that I think that this theme deserves to be at number 18. Alright, and at number 17, we have Super Mario. So I'm also going to include the NES set in this, and that's one of my all-time favorite sets. But I gotta be honest, that the playable game, although it's very unique and it's very interactive, and they're also getting the technology included with it, I do think that it's just really not for me, and I haven't gotten any of these sets, and I just think they're not that good. But this is one of the ones where I'm looking at the Bowser set coming out, the Cube that came out. Those sets in particular, I feel like those have really elevated it in the ranking, but I also want to look at it from the impact in the community wise and realize that a lot of people really do enjoy this and it's a really great thing for kids. So with that being said, that's why I placed it at that spot. Alright guys, and at number 16 we have Ghostbusters. Now, let's wait a second. Ghostbusters has only had a few sets. They've had both of the Ecto ones, the one from the original movies, the women's version that came out a few years ago. I'm not very knowledgeable about that one. The Ghostbusters HQ, and they had a few Dimensions packs, and that's it. But I feel like that HQ set is one of the best sets ever released alongside the Ecto one, and I thoroughly believe that it definitely deserves the ranking spot that it needs. And if you haven't ever seen the HQ in person, it's truly one of the best sets ever made. And so I do definitely believe that it's better than all the ones behind it. And although it's not a super huge theme, I feel like the impact in the community that it's had, you can barely look at any huge Lego city and not see that set in it. And it's so many childhood memories from some of the more A-falls in the community. And so I feel like impact in the community wise, it's very up there. And I also believe the quality of these sets is completely unmatched. So with that being said, that's why I put it in that spot. Okay guys, and at number 15 we have Stranger Things. Now, I'm going to get a lot of hate on this, but I don't particularly really like the show. I know a lot of people love it, but I think it's just quite frankly a little bit overrated. I haven't watched it past season 1 because I kind of fell out of it, but I do believe that the Stranger Things set that came out, the Upside Down, is absolutely nearly perfect. I've had a chance to fix the set a few times for some close friends, and I can honestly say it is a very well put together set. And although I think it's had a few brickheads in just that main set, I think there are plans to make more in the future. I just gotta stick with the fact that it's huge impact on the community and the quality of the set is so extremely high. Although another smaller theme, I think the impact on the community is just there and it deserves that spot. So that being said, that's why I've placed it there. Alright guys, and at number 14 we have Avatar. Now, these sets have not technically come out yet as the recording of this video, but they are about to come out, and I just have to say I'm not a huge fan. I think Avatar is probably the single most overrated movie of all time. With an average story and great CGI for the time it came out, it was definitely a masterpiece, and it's crushed box office records, but let's focus on the Lego aspect here. I don't really like these sets. I think the brickheads that are about to come out are very good looking for what they are, and I think that the tree and the dragon looking thing, flyer set, I think those look good, but overall I feel like the impact on the community isn't going to be that high because being realistic here, I think the movie will perform well, but the sets coming out right now, I don't think they'll sell well off the bat until the movie comes out because Avatar came out so long ago and the generation is trying to market towards really isn't into it. So I don't think it's going to do that well, but I have to give credit where credit's due. These sets do look good. I just am not a fan of them personally, but I know a lot of people really enjoy them. So that's why I've placed it at the spot that it is. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think of it in the comments, so let me know. But that being said, that's why I placed it there. Alright guys, and so at number 13, I've actually picked The Simpsons. Now, don't get mad at me, but I think the Dimensions packs, the Simpsons house, and the Quickie Mart are probably some of the best LEGO sets ever made, hands down. Again, like with the Ghostbusters, you can't barely look at any huge LEGO city and not see those sets. You played the game, you know how much of a significant part it had in that. I mean, I just gotta be honest, it's like The Simpsons is really just one of those themes that everything that's come out for it is just about perfect. And there's really no argument against that. If you're a fan of the show like I am, I mean, these sets are almost absolute must-haves. I don't actually personally have them because I don't really have a spot for them, but I'd love to actually have them. And I think that the impact on the community, The Simpsons is one of the longest running shows of all time, so obviously they sold very well when they came out. And I think the quality of the sets is just there, so I think that's got a very fair ranking for where it's at, although another smaller theme. So with that being said, that's why I placed it there. Alright, at number 12, we have Toy Story. Now, Toy Story for me is one of my favorite childhood movies, and I think that the impact that this theme had on the entire LEGO community from the first wave and the recent wave, I think the recent wave didn't perform as well as the later one. When I say later, I mean like the past one. I think when Toy Story 3 came out and they made those sets, I just remember looking at them and falling in love. Those sets are just really well made, in my opinion, and I think that they're extremely underrated, and I think the impact on the community was fairly high. Now, I will be honest when I admit the fact that this is more of a personal opinion and nostalgia ranking for me. I'd love to know what you guys would have placed this at. I could see a lot of people placing it a lot lower and higher than others, but it really just depends on how you feel about the movie and the theme in general. But I think the recent theme that came out with Toy Story 4 is just really also well made, and the minifigures that came with those sets are really awesome as well. So with that being said, I feel like it is a fair ranking, but I'd love to know what you guys have to say about it in the comments. Alright guys, and probably the best crossover from LEGO to any video game ever made is LEGO Minecraft. Now, say what you will about this theme, but this is an absolute phenomenon, okay? Minecraft was almost destined to become part with LEGO because the same kind of building system is there, the same creative aspects with your brain are used at the same time. I just feel like it's basically the perfect mix of the two. And so when you put LEGO Minecraft with, other themes, I feel like it holds up when you look at the fact that those sets have performed so well over the years, for the simple fact that Minecraft is probably behind GTA 5 or something, like the biggest game of all time, right? So obviously there's going to be a huge demand for these sets, and the sets in general, I would say they're lower quality, but I feel like based off the game, they're extremely well made, because what are you going to do? And it's literally a block game. Everything's in big chunks. So I feel like for the quality of the set, it's as well as it possibly could be with all the new printed elements and sticker pieces in those sets. They are very well made. I recently got the bee set, this little bee farm set. It was extremely cute, and I thought it was a great build and a great set to have. So with that being said, that's why I've placed it there. I think it honestly could be higher, but the impact it had on the community was absolutely massive, and I definitely think it helped LEGO get out of a little bit of a hole in 2014 era. So that being said, that's why I've placed it there. Alright guys, now in the top 10. For number 10, I've actually chosen LEGO Jurassic World / Park. Now, I know I'm going to upset a lot of people with this opinion, but I think this is probably one of the best things we've ever had, okay? let's take a look at some of the Jurassic Park sets first. The huge T-Rex breakout set is by far none one of the best sets ever made. You get a huge T-Rex, and the main gate is probably one of the most nostalgic sets for almost any person that was in that era, the 80s, okay? And then let's also look at the Jurassic World sets. I remember when the first Jurassic World came out, everybody was trying to get those sets. So when I look at an impact to the community, I look at that, like people were scalping that one set from Walmart. I mean, it was an absolute, crazy thing. My brother got every single one of those sets. Like, it was just a huge thing when it came out. I know it started to dwindle down, but they're still making sets for it. And I think the Jurassic Park sets have performed extremely well. And I don't know if we're going to get any more in the future since the last movie just came out as of recording this video, but I really just have to give it where credit's due and say that this is honestly one of the best things we've ever gotten. And I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be upset by this opinion, but I do think that it truly belongs in the top 10. Alright guys, and at number 9, we have one of my favorite themes, ScoobyDoo. So I think ScoobyDoo, although it was a one-wave release, although it had the dimension pack, I think this is one of those just absolute perfect themes. I mean, you have to look at the mansion, the mystery machine, all those sets, they truly are just about perfect. And so when I think about it like that, you just have to hands down agree that it definitely deserves to be in the number 9 spot. I believe it's one of the best investing sets to ever have, according to Brick Investing, like .com, whatever it was. And then it's like definitely one of the most popular. Like, I just remember them always being out of stock, and then once they retired, they went up in price a lot, and the impact on the community was definitely massive. Fans of Scooby-Doo are probably, absolutely massive, and I know the Mystery Machine is one of the most popular sets ever made, so I know for a fact I've had my hands on a few of them, and they're definitely very well made sets. So when we're talking about the quality of the sets, I think they are definitely there, and it was definitely one of my favorite themes when it came out at the time. So I definitely think it deserves to be at number 9 because I do think it's one of the better themes we've ever gotten. Alright guys, and at number 8 we have the Lego Movie. Now this is not including the Lego Movie 2, I'm strictly speaking about the Lego Movie, but we can add it if you prefer to have that. So when I'm talking about the Lego Movie, I'm talking about the single thing that lifted Lego out of, like, I don't want to say like it lifted them out of a spot, but I definitely think it boosted them a lot. You got to think about how big that movie actually was and how well those sets actually sold. I don't think there's a single Lego collector that lived in that time period and didn't buy at least one of those sets, So I'm looking at that and I'm saying the impact on the community was, like, bar none, extremely massive and just won't happen again, in my opinion. And we're looking at the quality of the sets. Those sets were extremely well made. I think the only set that I didn't particularly think was, like, perfect was, like, President Business's Lair, and that's about it. So with that being said, that's why I've placed it at that spot. Alright, at number 7 we have Pirates of the Caribbean. Now I know a lot of people would rank this one higher, but hear me out for a second. I think the ones in front of it are better, but I will just say that this is definitely one of the best things we've ever had. The pirate ships alone could hold their own, but let's talk about some of the other sets that have come out, like the Silent Mary. That set is absolutely phenomenal. The Black Pearl, the Davy Jones ship. Like, those sets are so well made, and so I do believe that the sets were made for the 4th Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and I think those sets are just really, really well made, and I think anybody who doesn't think that is probably a little bit blind, but I could see people putting this a little bit lower, I could see people putting this a lot higher. So with that being said, that's why I placed it there. Alright guys, and at number 6 we have Indiana Jones. Now, let's be fairly honest here. Those sets, when they came out, they don't really hold up today. But I would say that the impact on the community when these came out was massive, okay? And so let's also go ahead and take a look here. We have those new sets coming out next, spring as of recording this video. And I have a very good suspicious feeling that those are going to be some of the best sets we've ever gotten. So I'm going to go ahead and jump a little bit ahead but I'm also going to say the quality of the sets were not perfect, but very good for the time they came out. And then I'm also going to go ahead and mention that the impact on the community was huge, not to mention the 2 games that came out of it. So with that being said, that's why I placed it at number 6. So I really do think that it belongs there, and I feel like some people would place this higher, maybe some lower. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. So with that being said, let's move on to the top 5. Alright guys, and at number 5 we have Marvel. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, you would have placed this one a lot lower, but hear me out for a second. Marvel as an impact to the community has been huge. Let's think of the first Avengers movie. Let's think of the Iron Man sets. Let's think of sets like that. When those Avengers sets came out, I remember everybody going to go get them, okay? I think it was 2012 when the theme started, but we're also going to go ahead and throw a Spider-Man in here, right? Think of the Spider-Man sets, the Avengers sets, like the Daily Bugle. Think of the Quinjet, think of the Helicarrier, think of those sets, and then come back at me, because I do think that Marvel is the top 5 thing. Let's start talking about the video games. Let's talk about all those sets, and I truly think that it belongs at number 5, and I don't think there's really an argument to it. And the quality of the sets can be lower and higher. I mean, look at the Milano versus the old Milano, look at the Milano versus the Endgame battle. The quality of the sets are higher and lower in some of the sets, but I also do believe the helmet series, you get the gauntlets, the gauntlets are way better looking than the Iron Man helmet. So that's another thing. But I do think the impact on the community is massive, because picture Lego without Marvel, it's kind of hard, right? So that's why I'm trying to say it definitely belongs to be at number 5. So that's just my personal opinion, but let's move on to number 4. Alright guys, and at number 4 we have DC. Now I already know everybody's throwing their hats on the floor and blah blah blah, but hear me out. I'm including Batman and DC just like I'm including Spider-Man and Marvel. Batman is probably one of the best selling Lego things ever, right? So let's think about it like this. You have the Tumblers, the Arkham Asylums, the Lego Batman movie, the original Lego Batman sets, the list goes on. And I gotta say, I've never really seen a quote-unquote bad Lego Batman set, but I've seen quote-unquote bad Lego Marvel sets. So I'm not specifically talking about DC here, I'm kind of mentioning Batman a little bit more, but let's take a look at DC. DC's had the Justice League sets, they've had the Lex Luthor mech, they've had a bunch of sets like that are really high quality, and they're fairly good sets, and people don't really give it any credit. And so I think the last few years of Lego Batman and DC have been extremely well, and it was revamped, and I think it was 2012, don't quote me, it could have been 2011, but when the Lego Batman sets came out, those were really good sets, and I remember everybody wanting to go get those. So in my opinion, I think DC and / Batman definitely deserve to be at number 4, and I think it is better than Marvel, and I think both of these 5 and 4 could be argued heavily. I'd really like to know your guys' opinions in the comments, but I think the impact on the community and the quality of the sets is just extremely high compared to all the other things on the list. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into the top 3. Alright guys, at number 3, we have Lord of the Rings / The Hobbit, okay? So let's just take a look here. When The Hobbit came out, those movies weren't that popular, but let's take a look here. The Lord of the Rings is one of the single biggest movie trilogies of all time, okay? And so when these sets came out, they were so ridiculously popular, okay? That first wave was massive, okay? And that next wave came with the Tower of Orthanc. That is one of the most favorited, sought after sets of all time right now, right? And so let's take a look at The Hobbit. The Hobbit has some great sets, and people really don't give it credit. Let's look at things like the Unexpected Journey, the Shire, Bilbo's house in that set is so underrated, and not a lot of people talk about that. The Lonely Mountain set, the Mirkwood Elf battle stuff, the Witch King battle, all these sets are so good, and people don't really look at it. And I mean, even the Goblin King battle is very good, and very underrated set. But going a little bit back more to Lord of the Rings, I think the impact on the community was massive. And I definitely think it's a lot bigger than all these other sets that have come out, especially since it was a bigger theme than 2012 to 2015. So that's why I placed at number 3. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you might know I'm a little bit biased on this, but I am a huge Lord of the Rings / Hobbit fan, and I do thoroughly believe that this number 3 spot is extremely fair, and I think that it definitely deserves to be in the top 3, especially the top 5. But I think that Lord of the Rings is one of the best themes ever made, and I think The Hobbit could arguably be a little bit more further down on the list, but I've decided to put the two together since they were kind of releasing with each other. So with that being said, I think the impact on the community was massive. I do think that the quality of the sets is definitely up there, and I don't think there's a lot of competition when it comes to Lord of the Rings versus The Hobbit. So hashtag bring back the Lord of the Rings sets, and let's move on to the next one. Okay, guys, and at number 2, we have Harry Potter. Now, I know, but Harry Potter is definitely one of the, if not the best theme right now, okay? The older sets that came out, they were all right, but I'm talking about the sets that are coming out right now, okay? These sets are amazing. We have the Hogwarts Castle, Diagon Alley, Hedwig, the Collector's Edition, the Hogwarts Express, all these sets that are coming out, I could go on. These sets are so good. And there's really no argument against the fact that Harry Potter is pushing out some of the best sets we've ever seen. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Harry Potter is definitely second on this list. And I don't really think there's another argument. I think the Harry Potter world and the wizarding world of magic is definitely one of the biggest fantasy worlds ever created. And the fan base is massive. And the numbers are definitely shown for LEGO because they just are. It's a huge theme, and the sets that are coming out for it are really good. And so I just gotta give credit where credit's due. I think that Harry Potter is one of the best themes ever created. And the impact on the community is so large that I don't think anybody can really testify against it at this point. And I think the quality of the sets is way better than anything we've seen in a very long time. So with that being said, that's why it's number 2, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments about that one. Alright guys, and you already know what's number 1. It's Star Wars, okay? Look around me, Star Wars, I'm biased, but let's look at it here a little bit, because I know a lot of people would probably not put this at number 1. But I'm going to put it at number 1 because it's just the best theme, and I'm just going to put it there. Star Wars basically took LEGO out of their depression state, saved the company. They've created hundreds of sets now, and the quality of the sets is extremely good now. The UCS sets that we get these years are very good. Although there's so many critiques, I think that's just a bunch of people being extremely negative. We get a lot of great stuff from LEGO, and I do really believe that this is the best theme, and Star Wars is probably the biggest fan base, the most nostalgic to people. People grew up watching these movies. It's really hard to find somebody that just doesn't love Star Wars. And so when LEGO and Star Wars come together, it puts the two worlds together and they collided perfectly, okay? So I thoroughly believe that Star Wars is the best LEGO theme, and any argument against it, I can't even think of something better. I mean, if you want to put Lord of the Rings in front of it, fine. I'm a huge fan too, but I don't really think it is. We're talking about the video games here, we're talking about the sets that come out, the influence it's had on LEGO. If you look up LEGO, you're going to see more LEGO Star Wars videos than you're going to see any other theme, It's the biggest theme, it's the best theme, it's the most widely supported, it's just the best theme, and I feel like I'm rambling on at this point, but seriously, it's the best theme, and it definitely deserves the number 1 spot. I'd actually be extremely curious to know what you guys' top 5 is. So in the comments below, Let me know what your top 5 Lego licensed themes are. I'm making sure that I say license. I'm not going off Lego themes, I'm going off the Lego licensed themes. And so with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video with your friends if you enjoyed it, and make sure to turn on those notifications to be notified about future videos I upload to the channel. With that being said, have a great and wonderful day.